Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're here to break down the Cup Series Pocono slate for you guys on DraftKings and FanDuel this week. This is a very interesting slate. DraftKings was very weird with their pricing this week. I was a little bit confused by some of the things they're doing. We're going to get into that. I think it's very easy to put three dominators in your lineup with some good place differential guys as well. So we're going to break all that down. But before we do, if you're new here or you've been here for a while, leave a subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, turn on notification bell. All that stuff really helps me grow and get out there and just grow this channel more and more. So, and if you want to get into more of my content and what more stuff I do, you can subscribe to my Patreon. I'll put the link in the description. It's only $10 a month, and you get all my spreadsheets and more for the Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and Cup Series all combined. So I'm going to show you really all this spreadsheet. So right here we have all the driver stats. Then I also bring in the team stats, and then we go into the rankings where all those things rank. And then I'll also be putting in more different for different races, like night and day splits. There's really not any of that for Pocono this week, so there's none of that in the spreadsheet this week. But in tracks where there are, I will be putting that in there. And then we have what you need to pay off the salary on FanDuel and DraftKings, and my projections for both DraftKings and FanDuel. So yeah, with the subscription, you get all the spreadsheets for every race, and you get articles, my rankings, my cash core 4, and my projections every week, and my GPP exposures for the race, which will be coming out, fairly shortly close to the race, but those are something that people like. So, and if you want to give me a follow on social media, I'll put that in the description below too. We got my Twitter at DFS Nate Lane and my Instagram at @NateLane_. I'm very active over there, and if you want to ask me questions about anything, I'll always be willing to answer. So now let's get into the driver by driver. We're gonna start out with DraftKings most expensive driver this week. Yeah, Christopher Bell. I don't understand it. I don't know what DraftKings is warranting making him an 11,100. It's almost like they're just saying, don't play him. We don't want you to play him. We want you to make lineups out Christopher Bell, which is what I'm gonna do. I'm not playing him at 11,100 to be in the optimal lineup, especially if all the dominator points that are cheaper. He's gonna need to finish in the top 5 to pay off his not to pay off his salary, to be in the optimal lineup, to be in the winning lineup. And I just don't see that. It's literally a career best finish for Christopher Bell then. I don't see any way that happens. He's never ran Pocono in the Cup Series, but even in the Xfinity Series, he was good, but he wasn't anything exceptional there. It's not I could really see how Christopher Bell gets top 5. I highly doubt Christopher Bell ends up with a top 5 finish this week. In the last 5 races, he only has an average finish of 16.8 and an average position of 18.4 as well. So it's not like he's been this dominant driver, this driver who can really easily get up to the front and pay off that salary. So I'm not going to talk about Christopher Bell anymore. That's it. That's my Christopher Bell analysis. I wouldn't play him. If you want to play him, fine, I guess. He's probably got a good floor, and I guess I can see it in cash, but even then I'm still eh. But so yeah, it's Christopher Bell. On FanDuel though, he is very good. 8,000, very good play. He'll be chalky for sure. Starting at 36, I will definitely be playing my fair share of Christopher Bell on FanDuel, but on DraftKings, I will be staying away. Next, we have Chase Elliott, who is DraftKings' second most expensive driver, and I'm not really. I understand why they put him so high because he's been running very well this year. He's a very popular driver, but he's not even starting in the back. I would expect someone like Truex this week to be the most expensive driver, or Kevin Harvick. Pocono hasn't been a great track for Chase Elliott in the past. It's been good, but nothing great. And if you want Chase Elliott in your lineup, he has to lead laps at that salary. Starting 5th, he's gonna have to lead laps. He does have the 5th best average finish at Pocono. At the flat tracks, he has 6th best. At shallow tracks, he has 6th. And at super speedways, he ranks 8th. Average position at Pocono is 9th. So, he's done pretty decently well here, but nothing spectacular. And he's only got 15 laps led at Pocono over the past 2 years, or 16. So, he's just not a driver I see a ton of upside leading a bunch of laps. Yeah, he's in the top 5 in a good spot to lead a bunch of laps. That's usually where most of the lap leaders come from. But he's just not someone I'm really excited about this week. I think there's cheaper guys that have more opportunity to lead more laps than Chase Elliott. But he's going to be low owned for sure. I don't think people are playing Elliott or Logano this week. I think they're going to look for some of the cheaper dominators. So he could end up being the guy you need, and if he does, he could be a very low owned dominator that could win people tournaments. And it's the same thing with Joey Logano. It's very low owned dominator in a track where Joey Logano really hasn't been that great. I think he has a win here early in his career, but other than that, he's just not been good. The last 2 years, he has the 12th best average finish, and he has at Pocono, and the 13th best average position. So it's nothing special. I don't think he has any laps led over the last 2 years at Pocono. Yeah, 0. So Joey Logano at Pocono is not really the best driver, and he's the third most expensive driver, and Logano never gets ownership anyway, so he's really not going to get ownership this week. I think he might. I'm probably going to take stabs him just because he's been running very well this year, leading a bunch of laps as of late, and I like that, and I like how good Penske is here, and if that can like rub off those two teammates that are good here can rub off on Logano, then maybe that's something that's going to happen. I mean, he's in a good starting spot, starts sixth. He can lead laps for sure. He's always got that upside. It's just not my favorite play. I'm only playing a few laps. Probably wouldn't play Logano, but in GPPs, I'll have a little bit of exposure. Now we got Kevin Harvick starting ninth, and I think he'll probably be out of the 10K range the most popular driver, and I think he's best play too. He starts ninth. He's got a little bit of place differential upside, and it's a track Harvick's excelled at. He's got the sixth best average finish here and the second best average position here. And at the types of track, you can see his average position is first. So he's been very good at these types of tracks. He does have 181 laps led at Pocono over the last 2 years, which is second most. He looks very good for this track, and I don't see why that changes in this race. He starts ninth too, so he's got a little bit of place differential upside. He's got dominator upside because he's Kevin Harvick, and he's always been very fast. He's been very fast this year, fast as of late. I'm pretty sure he's leading in point standings right now, so he's going to have a top 5 finish most likely, and he can get up front and lead laps. I mean, he's one of the top dominator picks. He's not my top dominator pick, but he's up there. I do like Harvick today. Keselowski's good, but you want laps led at that salary, and Keselowski's very good at this track. He's got the second best average finish here, and I believe he does only have the 10th best average position here, but I mean, that's still not bad. He's finishing well, but that also will show in a laps led. He only has 15 laps led here over the past 2 years. So Keselowski as a dominator, it doesn't seem as likely, especially starting 8th. If he was starting like top 3, yeah, I think that's definitely a great dominator choice then. But for someone who's starting 8th place, it's not a place where most of the dominators come from. They usually come from the top 5 in Pocono. I don't think he's one of the best plays to have. Now we got Martin Truex Jr. starting 11th. I think Truex is a good play, especially for cash. He's got a good floor. He's very good here. The 4th best average finish at Pocono and the 6th best average finish or 6th best average position at Pocono. So he's definitely got he can definitely run up front and has the potential to finish very, very high in this race. He has the potential to win it. I mean, it is Martin Truex. Over the last 5 race season, average finish of 6.25 and average position of 10.4, and he has 38 laps led at Pocono over the last 2 years. So and I believe he has a win either 2 or 3 years ago here. I could be wrong about that. But he's run very well here. He's a good floor play if the starting 11th. I think he'll be popular just because he is starting 11th. I don't hate that play. I don't know if the upside is there because it's Martin Truex, but I like the upside on other drivers more than Truex. Just because of where he's starting. I think the laps led most laps led is probably not coming from 11th place. It's probably coming from the top 3 or 4. But I think he's a good play. It's a good option. I mean, it's Truex. He could always have just a lightning fast car and just lead a bunch of laps and win this race. So, not telling you not to play Martin Truex. Clint Bowyer, I think, is going to be very low owned, and I like that. I like Clint Bowyer this week. DraftKings priced him up at 9,500. He starts 18th, which is very, very. I mean, I understand it because he's good here. He has the 10th best average finish at Pocono over the last 2 years and the 5th best average position. So Bowyer, and he's been decently fast here. He's had some bad luck, gotten caught up in some wrecks that sucked, but he's been a pretty fast car this year. He seems to have the Kevin Harvick setup underneath him, and I really like what Bowyer's been bringing to the table. He's not going to lead last, but if he can get up inside especially top 5, he's got top 5 potential, but really inside the top 10, yeah, he should be able to pay up that salary pretty well. And I don't think people are going to play him. If Kyle Busch fails, if Martin Truex Jr. fails, Clint Bowyer is going to be very valuable. And I don't think people are going to want to play him just because they see these dominator upside and you got Clint Bowyer. But I think Bowyer's a viable option. He's someone I'm going to go to. And on FanDuel, he's very cheap at $9,400 on FanDuel. FanDuel salaries are generally more expensive, but on FanDuel, he's only $9,400. That's someone I very much like over there. So now we'll go to Kyle Busch. This is crazy that Kyle Busch is only $9,300, and I'm honestly really hoping that people are just scared of the way he's been running this year, where he hasn't been leading a bunch of laps. He's had a lot of bad luck during races with tires and penalties and stuff, which I guess the penalties aren't really bad luck, but still, that's not something you try to predict are penalties. So I think Kyle Busch is someone who he's been the best at Pocono the last 2 years. Let's just look at I'm just gonna go through the ranks of Pocono. Tracks like Pocono. Best average finish at Pocono, first. Average finish at flat tracks, first. Average finish at shallow tracks, second. Average finish at super speedways, first. Average finish at Pocono. Average position at Pocono, first. Average position at flat tracks, second. Average position at shallow tracks, fourth. Average position at super speedways, second. So Kyle Busch just been off the charts, the best driver at this track, and he has 200 laps led, the most out of anybody in the field, and he starts fourth, which is one of the prime starting spots to lead a bunch of laps here. I think people are going to be scared that he's been sucking and had some bad races, but he does still have 3 runner-ups this year. He's still run very well. There's been a lot of times where Kyle Busch has been up at the front and something has happened that has screwed him over. Or at Martinsville when he had the damage on the front nose and he couldn't get out of the hole, the few laps down. So I think Kyle Busch is fine. I think he's a great dominator potential driver here, and he's only 9,300. Like, when are we going to get Kyle Busch at 9,300 again? I mean, it's just crazy. He should not be this cheap at a track he's this good at. Up next, we have Jimmy Johnson at 9,100. This is a driver who he starts 12th. He's not been that great at Pocono the last few years. And I know Hendrick's been fast this year and Jimmy Johnson's been fast, but like at 9,100, you're going to need like a top 5 out of Jimmy Johnson. A track where he has the 15th best average finish and the 8th best average running position. I just don't think Jimmy Johnson's the way to go here. Now, Ryan Blaney is a play that I really like, and I honestly think people are just going to overthink this play this week. I really do. And I don't know why. It's always been Ryan Blaney. Everyone thought him at Homestead, too, that he wouldn't get up front and lead a bunch of laps. Why? Because Hamlin and Kyle Busch start right behind him, and they've been so good here. And Blaney, like, hasn't been the best at this track, but every single track this year, Ryan Blaney's outperformed, well, just about, has outperformed what he's done in the past. He's been so much better this year than he has in his entire career. So in the last 5 races outside of Daytona, he has an average finish of 3. He has 168 laps led, and now he starts on a second next to Eric Almirola, who he should be able to get out front and lead anyway. And I mean, after a big win at Talladega last week, like I think Blaney's huge. I think Blaney, honestly, if I were to pick a driver to lead the most laps, I'd pick Ryan Blaney. He's just been so fast, and he's in like a prime position to lead laps, like the best position to lead laps. Like clean air at Pocono is so important, and he is in such a good position to do it. And Penske's just been so fast. And I think people are gonna be like, oh, there's no way Hamlin or Kyle Busch can lead all the early laps. Like, no, Ryan Blaney is a very, very good play here. And I hope people are thinking, I want to play Ryan Blaney. I'm gonna play a ton of him, but I could still see passing being chalky. He's way too cheap at 9,000. Like, that's ridiculous. He should not be that cheap. Up next, we have Denny Hamlin at 8,800. Yeah, this is going to be the chalkiest play in the slate. I mean, and for good reason. Hamlin's great here. He's got the 3rd best average finish here over the last 2 years and the 3rd best average position. And he's been running great this year. He's led a ton of laps. Has 3 wins. He's just been great to start this year, and he's only 8,800. It's stupid that he's that cheap. Everyone's going to play him. Everyone's going to realize that he's going to be everyone's top lap led pick probably. And he's up there for me, but I'd still pick Blaney and honestly Kyle Busch ahead of him. But Hamlin's going to be great. Don't fade him, I guess. I mean, you could fade him and hope he gets wrecked or something, but he's going to have a good race. He's really good here. He's been great all year. I don't see any reason to get off Denny Hamlin here. Matt Kenseth at 8,600. Like, I don't get why is Matt Kenseth 8,600 on DraftKings, man. Vandal did it right, 7,400. That's the way to go. I just don't understand why Matt Kenseth, who has an average finish of like 20th right now in the past 5 races. Yeah, 20.4, an average position of 22.2. Starts 22nd. Why are we playing Matt Kenseth today? Like, I mean, there's just no reason to do it. Yeah, if you put him down in like the 6K where he should be, then maybe, but at 8,600, it's ridiculous. He has not been good since he stepped in that car. Then we got William Byron at 8,400. Now, this is a play that I like. William Byron's been really good here. He has an average finish of the 7th best average finish at Pocono over the last 2 years, and the 7th best average position at Pocono. And Hendrick's been fast this year, and this is a track that is very good to William Byron. He has run very well here over his short career, and I think he looks like an absolute great play here. I mean, DraftKings priced him up a little bit at 8,400, which is warranted, which they should have done with Eric Jones too, but they did with Byron. And I mean, I think it's still a fine play. He starts 16th. He easily can get inside the top 10. I don't see why not William Byron get inside the top 10. Just this is a good track, and he's been running very well as of late too. Like, he started out the season rough, but in his last 5 races, he has an average finish of 9.25 and an average position of 12.75. I think those are good. Good numbers for Byron, and now we go to a track he's been just running better at anyway, and Hendrick's been so fast this year. This could be a really big race for William Byron. I think he's a very good play here. He's someone I'm going to be having a lot of ownership to, and I'm sure a lot of people will because they know he's good here, but maybe the price up will scare people a little bit, but I don't think so. Next we have Alex Bowman. See, Alex Bowman, I've decided is like hit or miss on DraftKings. Like he's the biggest boom. Like you hear boom bust players in the NFL with like Mike Evans and Julio Jones, but Alex Bowman's boom bust NASCAR. Like this guy either leads a bunch of laps and dominates the race, or he's just bad. And Pocono has not been a very good track for him. I mean, 16.25 average finish, which ranks 19th, and the 11th best average position. But Bowman this year, even though I just called him boom bust, he's still been way better this year, and his numbers at pretty much every track have been better than what they've been in the past. He's having like a breakout year. 8,300 is cheap, especially for someone who can dominate. And I mean, I know Hamlin, Blaney, Kyle Busch are all cheap dominators, but like Bowman could too. He's not in a prime starting position, but like he's a long shot to lead laps, and it could happen. I would not be surprised to see him do it. He hasn't led laps here. He hasn't been good here, but I mean, I think taking a stab or two at Alex Bowman in GPPs is definitely a viable option. He even has place differential floor starting 10th. He wouldn't be my pick to lead a bunch of laps, but I could totally see paths to him doing it. Up next, we have Kurt Busch, who starts 7th, 8,100. This is a guy I'm going to be not playing this week. He is not good here. He has the 20th best average position at Pocono and the 15th best average position at Pocono. There's just not a good track for him. He isn't. I mean, he's been very like consistent top 10s this year, which is good. But like that's not gonna give me a ton of DraftKings points starting 7th. I need him to lead laps. I need him to get up to top 2 or 3 in this race, and I just don't think that's in the books for Kurt Busch here. Up next, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. at 7,900, starting 14th. Oh, Ricky, he's just starting too high. I mean, this is a track that hasn't been great to him. I mean, but it's not like terrible. It's just Ricky Stenhouse Jr. at 14, starting 14th. It just doesn't. It doesn't feel like. That's just not what we need. We need place differential upside. We need to get in top 10, top 8, and I don't think Ricky Stenhouse Jr. can really do that for us. I mean, he has the 21st best average finish at Pocono and the 18th best average running position at Pocono. It's just not an ideal situation for Ricky Stenhouse here. But I mean, he's going to be very low owned, and I mean, he's shown that upside this year of that top 4 run at Charlotte. His car can be fast. I mean, he finished 2nd at Talladega, but that's different. So I mean, he has the upside. It's just I don't think this is the race where he shows that upside. Next, we have Bubba Wallace, starting 23rd at 7,700 on DraftKings. I think he's all right on FanDuel at 7,000, but on DraftKings, 7,700 is a little bit expensive. Got the 24th best average finish at Pocono and the 21st best average position at Pocono. Just not great numbers. This hasn't been his track. He's been running better this year. I think he has the last 5 races, an average finish is like 18, something like that. Where's Bubba? 18.4 average finish in the last 5 races, so that's good. But, like, I mean, still 23rd to 18, I mean, that's not enough points to really pay off that salary well enough. I think he's okay, but I don't think he's, like, the best play in the world here. Then next we have Matt DiBenedetto. The same thing as every week for DiBenedetto. I don't really look at his past stats at these tracks. I look at how he's been running this year. He starts 21st, and in his last 5 races, he has an average finish of, 15.25. So Matty D has been running very well this year. Wood Brothers has looked fast, and I think he can get up. He's definitely got top 10 upside. He's shown it a few times this year. Pocono seems to be an okay track for him. Starts 21st. He's got good place differential upside, and he's got potential like really smash that salary. So I think DiBenedetto is a good play here. I wouldn't call him like anything like great of a play, but I don't. Well, see, Matty D always gets ownership, but still I don't expect him to be too highly owned, so he could be a solid play. But I might like Tyler Reddick a little more, starting 15th, especially if we're trying to go lower ownership. I don't think anyone's going to play Tyler Reddick. It's not like this is not a track where he's like, I mean, well, first off, he's never raced here in a Cup Series, but even in the Xfinity Series, he was good, but he wasn't like fantastic here. He was a good driver here. But Reddick's been so fast this year. I think he's got an average finish in the last 5 inside the top 10. Nope, 12.5. My bad. Average running position of 11.25. But that's still like really, really good. And Reddick has shown that top upside. I mean, we saw him finish 3rd at Homestead. What a race that was. I was all over him that week, and that was such a great play there. But Tyler Reddick, I mean, he starts 15th. He can get inside the top 10. He can get inside top 8, and he can really pay off that salary. I mean, it's like when Eric Jones and William Byron were cheap a few weeks ago, and like they would just have to move up a few spots. That's Tyler Reddick now. So I think Reddick's a good play. He has the highest ceiling in the world is maybe not there, but he seems to be a driver who can hang around that 15, top 10 to 15 range, and he can pay off the salary and at low ownership. All right, this is the one that's like just Eric Almirola at 7,300. I was really hoping he'd be like 6,900, 6,800, something like that. But that's fine. clean air at Pocono, being on the pole at Pocono is such a huge advantage, and it's something that you really want to get out front and lead laps on. And do we think Almirola can get that jump on Blaney? I don't think so, but it's like not impossible. Like Almirola has been decent here. He's been decent this year, and I mean, if he gets out and leads like the first 30 to 40 laps and finishes inside the top 10, he's gonna really hit that salary. And no one's playing Eric Almirola this week. Nobody. I wouldn't play him. I definitely wouldn't play him in cash. I wouldn't play him in like a ton of GPP lines either. But if you are making a large entry or a mass entry GPP, I think Eric Almirola is a good one to throw in there a little bit because, I mean, he still could get up front and lead laps. This is a track where that is so important, starting on the front. Like there are other tracks where starting on the front, yeah, it's important, but not as important. Like this is a big one for starting on the front. If he can get out front of Blaney early, and that could be huge. Up next, we have Ty Dillon. I think Ty Dillon's going to be popular. I think he's good on FanDuel at 6,000 for sure, but on DraftKings, I'm not too excited about Ty Dillon. I mean, I think it's going to be popular because he starts 34th, but like he hasn't really been that good here. I mean, yeah, he has 26th best average finish and 25th best average position, but in the past 5 races, he has an average finish of 26.5. Like, it's okay, but Ty Dillon, like, and Pocono is such a hard track to pass. Do we really want Ty Dillon to get like 27? It's really not going to be worth it that much. I think he's fine in cash. He should be able to get up some positions, but I just don't see the real upside for Ty Dillon here, especially when I just pay 100 more for Eric Jones, who's in a better car, a better driver, it's just in a better track. All of it combined is cheaper than Ty Dillon. Eric Jones is going to be the chalk play of the week, and he's fine on FanDuel too. That's the thing. Like, he's 10,000 on FanDuel, and he's fine. But he's 7,100 on DraftKings, and I mean, this is the same every video. Eric Jones is too cheap. He's still too cheap. He's had some bad luck this year at the end of races, getting loose wheels, flat tires, whatever. But before those, he's running really, really well, and I do not expect that to change this week. At a track that he's been very good at. He has the 8th best average finish over the last 2 years at Pocono, and he has the 4th best average position at Pocono over the last 4 years. His last 5 races, they haven't been great. An average finish of 15.33 and an average position of 15.75. But like I said, there's been some bad luck, and he's been having top 10 runs get thrown away. Atlanta, thrown away, flat tire. Miami, he was in 6th, loose wheel. It's just stupid stuff like that happens, and it ruins his day. But this is a track he's so good at. He's going to be so chalky. Everyone knows it. Last year, he finished 2nd and 3rd at both these races. I think he's a fine play. I'm going to be playing my fair share of Eric Jones. I think you should too. He's perfect for cash. He's going to be I expect him to be the highest owned player on the slate. If he's not, I'd be a little shocked. But I think he's a really good play. Daniel Suarez, I don't care. Don't play Suarez. Ryan Newman, 6,700. This isn't like a great track for Ryan Newman, and he starts 13th. There's not a lot of place differential upside here. He starts 13th, and he has an average, the 18th best average finish here and a 17th best average position here. And like in the last 5 races, Ryan Newman has an average finish of 14.5. Like, it's not like, I just don't see a lot of upside here for Ryan Newman to really get inside the top 10 and run. Like, it's like some tracks when Ryan Newman's always starting around this area, just like, okay, there's some tracks, yeah, he could get up front inside the top 10 and be a huge play. This week, I don't think so. I don't think Pocono's a track for him. I just wouldn't play him. Next, we have Chris Buescher. I think is a good play, a good place. I think both Buescher and Custer, who we're going to get into after Buescher, are both good PD plays. Chris Buescher has the 17th best average finish at Pocono, and he has the 20th best average position at Pocono. He hasn't been running that good this year, and I don't really know why that is because he is in much better equipment than he's been in. But this is a track where that's been pretty decent for him. He starts 24th. I'd rather have like Chris Buescher getting up 5 or 6 spots into like 19th versus Ty Dillon getting to 29th. That's going to be more points. So I think Chris Buescher can do that. I think he's definitely a viable place differential option, as is Cole Custer, who is in Stewart-Haas equipment, good equipment, starts 25th. Now, Cole Custer, I guess his one race here wasn't like fantastic or anything, but that was last year. Now he's like a full-time Cup driver, and I know Cole Custer has not been good this year, like just been like a letdown almost. I mean, as it shows, his last 5 races, an average finish of 22nd. But at Pocono in the Xfinity Series, Cole Custer was like the best driver there. He has a win, I believe a 4th in his last 2 seasons there. And he would just be very, very good here. I mean, this is a track I expect him to like be fine at. For whatever reason, Pocono has been very good to like younger drivers over the years. Like rookies seem to excel at this track. So I think Custer is going to be someone who could totally excel here and move up into the top 20 for sure. Maybe inside the top 15, maybe. So I think Custer's got upside. I like him more than Busher. I think he has more upside to get higher. I think he's a fine play. Next we have Austin Dillon at 6,200, starting 17th. Yeah, Austin Dillon's an interesting one. He has the 14th best average finish at Pocono over the last 2 years and the 16th best average position. But in his last 5 races, Austin Dillon has an average finish at 8. Like, that's really, really good. I mean, that's the best I think we've seen out of Austin Dillon his entire career. So I think Dillon's a very good play here. I think it's going to be a sneaky play because I don't think people are going to play Austin Dillon. I think he's going to go very low owned, but he can get inside the top 10 by the end of this race and be a very, very sneaky play to finish up higher in this race. Is he a cash play? No. Is he someone I want to have a ton of exposure to? No. But he's definitely someone I want a little bit of exposure to, and I think who has some legit upside and more upside than some of the guys around him like John Hunter Nemechek and Ryan Preece. I think Dillon's going to go low owned because he starts 17th, and people are going to play some of the guys that are starting farther back. But I think Dillon has very, very good reasoning to outscore all of them. I mean, he's a better driver right now than all of the drivers priced around him. He's not necessarily better equipment, but he's in pretty close to like Stewart. Well, that's really the only. I mean, yeah, he's in better equipment than John Hunter Nemechek, Ryan Preece, LaJoy McDowell. So I think Dillon's a good play. John Hunter Nemechek, he just starts too high. Nothing against him. He's been running good this year, but I just expect him to hang around the top 20. Ryan Preece, another guy, he starts 30th, 5,800. Yeah, he's just going to be another driver. He's going to move up 5 to 6, 7, 8 spots. Like, I mean, that's fine, but, like, I just would rather play someone like Austin Dillon, who I think has legitimate top 10 upside, or Cole Custer, I think has legitimate top 15 upside, versus Ryan Preece, who maybe could get it, like, 20th, but I think that's even a reach. Corey LaJoy doesn't have enough place differential upside here. He's just too expensive. He should be priced down with these guys. Not because he's as bad of a driver. It's just because he starts up there and he doesn't move anywhere. Up next, we have Michael McDowell. This is really I'm not getting into any of these guys. Don't play any of those bottom feeders. They're not good. But Michael McDowell is the interesting one. He hasn't been terrible here. He starts 26th, 23rd best average finish, and a 23rd best average position, which isn't great. But in the last 5 races, Michael McDowell has an average finish at 18.4 and an average position of 19.6. Those are like really good numbers for a guy starting 26 at 5,500. Like, he's the cheapest I'm willing to play on DraftKings, and I think he's got like legitimate potential to like hit that salary. And he has like, I think Michael McDowell has a better chance of finishing inside top 20 than someone like Ryan Preece does. So I'd rather play that. I think that's a very, very good option. So yeah, those are really the main points on all the drivers. If you want to know more, get more in detail, you should subscribe to my Patreon. If you want to keep watching these videos, you should subscribe to the channel. You should leave a like, leave a comment, turn on notification bell. All that stuff really, really, really helps me out. You should check out my lineup strategy breakdown for lineup building strategy breakdown for Pocono. I'll put that up in the corner for you guys. And you should check out my truck series breakdown, which I'll also put up there. And the Xfinity comes out later. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope you guys win some money this weekend.